Welcome into the Inside Scoop. We are live from Nashville, Tennessee. Today is Wednesday, March 5th. I'm your host, Josh Newberg, and today we got a lot to cover because the dead period is over. It ended late Sunday night into Monday morning, and we already got big-time visitors on campus all over the country. So today, we're talking Alabama. We're talking Miami and Ohio State. Big show. Let's get to it. Let's talk some Alabama recruiting because the Tide are sitting at number 11 in the rankings, but they're moving up. And in this video, we got some big visit intel coming out of this dead period. We got Andrew Bone from Bama Online to break it all down with me. But before we get going, Alabama fans, do me a favor and hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We love talking Alabama recruiting. We want you to be a part of it. Go on, hit subscribe. All right. Let's bring on Andrew Bone from Bama Online. So dead period ends on Sunday night. Monday morning, Bama starts camp for the spring, and they already got visitors on campus. Titan Davis, the number 7 defensive lineman out of St. Louis, was there. Also, the number 3 ranked corner in the country from Akron, Ohio, Elbert Hill. He made his 3rd visit to Tuscaloosa. What's the latest word after this visit?
Yeah, I think the visit with Elbert was very significant. I talked to his dad for a long time yesterday, and they had a great trip. Mom and Dad came with him, and they were just blown away by just everything that Alabama had as far as kind of their vision, their plan for him. They went into a meeting room with Courtney Morgan, also met with defensive backs coach Mo Linquist, met with Coach DeBoer, and they said their plan for him, I mean, they had already kind of had planned out his whole career in Tuscaloosa to the moment he graduated from the University of Alabama. And they said they were just absolutely blown away by that. They think he's one of the Alabama believes he's one of the best defensive players in the entire country. They think he's right there as far as one of their top overall defensive back targets. And like you said, 3rd visit overall to Tuscaloosa. It was his first, though, since the Georgia game last season. So it's been a few months since he's been to Tuscaloosa. So getting back on campus, familiarizing himself with all the surroundings, being back, seeing some of the guys on campus. His dad really pointed out, he had a chance to spend some time with Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, even some of the guys from Ohio like Justin Hill, Cam Calhoun, two defenders for Alabama. So it was good to be around those guys. And we know that he's going to be back for an official visit this summer. And I think Alabama's got a great chance to land Elbert Hill. Still have some visits coming up with Oregon, USC, Ohio State's in the mix. But Alabama's done a great job with Elbert thus far in his recruitment.
Some good news right out of the dead period. And he's not the only big-time out-of-state target that's going to be in T-Town this week. On Thursday, Texas wide receiver Booby Feaster, who we've been talking a lot about on this channel, is expected to arrive in Tuscaloosa for a midweek visit. Where do the Tide stand heading into this one? I know he recently reclassified, so things are really sped up with Booby Feaster. Where's the Tide at?
I think they've got some ground to make up, and they can do that. I mean, a visit to Alabama, it can open a lot of eyes, and we'll see how the visit goes this weekend. But talked to Booby's dad earlier today, and he talked about just getting to campus, kind of seeing the facilities, spending time with the coaching staff, kind of understanding their goals and their vision for Booby in the future, and also making sure that he's on top of his grades. That's going to be one of the most important aspects to them. But Alabama, one of these schools that kind of offered late. They offered in January. He's had a lot of offers before then, and this is going to be his first trip to Alabama. But one thing that kind of stands out is his relationship with one of the Alabama support staff members, Aaron Hodges, who was at TCU. He was the 3rd offer for Booby early in his recruitment. And so they've known Aaron Hodges for a very long time. They've got that relationship going. So this is going to be about meeting with Coach DeBoer, Coach Shepard, the offensive staff, and kind of getting a feel for the campus. I think we'll know a little bit more about Alabama's position with him after the weekend. But this is going to be a big trip for him. And the good news for Alabama is it's almost like an official visit because you're getting on campus Thursday night. You're going to spend all day Friday and then all day Saturday on Alabama's campus, seeing everything that pretty much all the official visitors get to do. So we'll see how the visit goes, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. All right. Those are some of the names of guys that have been on campus or will be on campus. Now, I got 3 names for you of key recruits that Alabama needs to get on campus this spring, and we're going to start in-state at Wadley, Alabama. 6'4" edge rusher Jaquez Wilkes, one of the best players, not only at his position, but in the state of Alabama this cycle. What does Alabama need to do to get him on campus this spring?
Well, as of right now, he plans on visiting in April. I think it's April the 12th when he's planning on making that first trip to Tuscaloosa in quite a while. I mean, this is a guy that received an offer from Alabama last month, and we've seen a lot of the in-state guys like Anthony Tank Jones, Darian Morgan, Zion Gibson, all make trips to Tuscaloosa over the course of the last year. But this is a guy that Alabama probably is just not as familiar with, but they really like him. He's 6'4", almost 220 pounds, had 318 yards rushing in the state championship game this past year, but being recruited as a defensive guy. They really like him as a linebacker, and I think the relationship with Alabama is starting to come along. He grew up an Alabama fan. I don't know if I would say that Alabama's in the lead for him because of that. I think Alabama probably has a little bit of ground to make up there. Got to have a strong relationship with the coaching staff, and I think they're starting to build it with Jaquez Wilkes. But we'll see a little bit more after that trip next month. But really big to get him on campus because I think we feel like we know where Alabama stands with some of these other in-state guys heading into the spring, heading into summer official visits. But we don't really know a ton about Jaquez Wilkes. So getting him on campus is going to be really big for Alabama.
All right, the next prospect I want to ask you about is Sincere Johnson. He's built like a true NFL linebacker, 6'3", 220 pounds already. He's located in Cleveland, Ohio. I understand, he's an out-of-state prospect. Got to get him on campus. Where do the Tides stand with him right now?
I think Alabama's in that top 2, top 3 with Sincere Johnson right now. They offered him really early in January. I think it was January the 8th. Spent a lot of time recruiting him since then. He made the trip to Tuscaloosa for Junior Day on February the 1st. Had a great trip with the Tide, and it seems like this could come down to Alabama and Ohio State. Now he's going to take some visits. Take the officials before making that decision. But we saw this last year with Justin Hill. Came down to Alabama and Ohio State with Justin Hill. I think it could come down to Alabama and Ohio State again with Sincere Johnson. They've been recruiting the state of Ohio really heavily. We talked about Elbert Hill earlier. This is another guy that they would love to add, but I think Alabama's got a great chance with him. He's going to take an official visit. Now, can they get him back for a spring visit? That would be really huge as far as the Tide's chances and potentially landing him in the future.
All right, we got another school, modern day, that the Tide does real well at out in California. Now we're talking number 2 tight end, Mark Bowman. His recruitment has absolutely blown up since he reclassified from 27 class up to 2026. Now his recruitment kind of comes into focus. We know teams across the country are involved here, Georgia, USC, everybody in between. Where do the Tide stand for Mark Bowman, and does he have plans to make it to campus? Inside Scoop listeners, I got to tell you about a company that makes this show possible. It's Roback Activewear. The only way to describe Roback is best fit, best feel. And for those who are not familiar with Roback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs, clean hoodie, and quarter zip designs from some of your favorite schools, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. They are both super comfortable. They have an elastic waistband and a great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for everyday movement. Roback also has been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. So use code JOSH on roback.com for a generous 20% off all new custom orders through the end of this week. Let's spell it out for you. RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with promo code JOSH.
Well, as of right now, he's not announced any plans to make it to campus. So that's going to be that's why it's big for Alabama to try to get him on campus this spring. He has official visit dates set with Georgia, with Oregon, with Texas, and it seems like those are some of the schools, including USC, that are high on his list right now. But Alabama has recruited him for a while. He was in Tuscaloosa for the Georgia game last year. They went out to see him in January, and this is a guy that, or just the position overall, tight end is a very important position for Alabama in this 2026 recruiting class. They've got some other tight ends that have scheduled official visits for the summer. This is a guy that they really like, that's high on their recruiting board. They're really pushing to try to get him for a spring visit, so we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, no doubt one of the hottest names at the tight end position. What are visits looking like through the spring? Is it going to kind of be little groups like this coming in every day, every weekend, kind of until the spring game? Well, until the spring ends. I don't know if Alabama's having a spring game.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. I mean, we're going to see little pockets here and there. I mean, obviously, Alabama had, I think it was 8 players on campus on Monday. They had 2 on campus today. They'll have more on campus this weekend, and we'll kind of see that throughout the next month and a half. But we're starting to see more official visit dates, it seems like, than spring visit dates that have been confirmed. I think we already have 35 plus official visits confirmed for the summer. But yeah, we're gonna see more and more guys that are gonna confirm spring plans in the coming weeks. Caden Hall is another kid that we just recently confirmed is going to be in Tuscaloosa on March the 18th, one of Tide's top defensive targets. So we're going to see more and more guys like that are going to announce spring visit plans over these next few weeks, and Alabama should be able to have a pretty solid group this month and into April.
Yeah, a lot of action spring into summer. Bama fans, talk to us. Who do you think is the most important recruit that Alabama needs to get on campus this spring? Let us know. Let's talk some Miami Hurricane recruiting. The Canes are hot coming out of the dead period. Really just one of a few teams with elite recruits on campus as soon as the dead period ended on Sunday night heading into Monday. So we're here. We're going to talk with Azubi Charles of Cane Sport, go behind the scenes of some of these big name visits. But first, Miami fans, do me a favor and hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. All right, let's bring on Azubi Charles of Cane Sport. He is down there in Coral Gables covering practice. Let's start off with 5-star wide receiver Tristan Keys. He headlined this visitor group on Monday. What is the latest with the elite wide receiver from Mississippi?
Yeah, it was absolutely massive for the Hurricanes to get Tristan Keys down here, the number 1 wide receiver in that 2026 class. And he left Coral Gables with a huge smile on his face. It was a few family members as well who got to see Miami for the first time. And when we had the chance to speak with him after the visit, he kind of talked about how he loved seeing Miami have the number 1 offense last year and how they had 3 wide receivers in the NFL Combine with Xavier Restrepo, Sam Brown, and Jacoby George being those 3 guys. So he sees a path for success down there in Miami, and having the chance to speak with Shannon Dawson and Kevin Beard was huge for him. He set that official visit for May 30th, so he'll be back down this summer. And he's hoping to even get back down again for the spring potentially too.
Yeah, that's kind of the formula there. Get him on campus a couple times, get him back for that official visit. It just seems like Miami kind of getting some traction with the number 1 wide receiver in America. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Now, Jalen Waters, talked about him a lot on this channel. He's a recent UFD commit, trending to Miami. He'll be on campus soon. But there's another Gator DB commit that was on campus Monday. That's Devin Jackson. He's from Orlando. He met with newly acquired DB coach Will Harris. Is he a potential flip target for Miami?
Yeah, 100%. Devin Jackson getting down to Miami was a huge, huge step in the right direction for the Hurricanes. I kind of asked him a little bit about his relationship with Will Harris, and he said that played a huge factor in his commitment with the Gators. Obviously, they have a new, defensive staff in that secondary, so he wants to get to know them. But he already has that established relationship with Luke Harris. Left Miami, he's looking to come back for the spring again, and then he's setting up an official visit with the Canes as well, too. So a lot of traction picking up between Devin Jackson and the Miami Hurricanes for sure.
All right, speaking of flips, Miami Northwestern safety, Tadarius Hughes, keeps coming back to campus in Coral Gables, but he's committed to Florida State. Is there any smoke there with these repeated visits that he could be a flip target?
100%. Like they say, if there's smoke somewhere, there's possibly fire. And, things are brewing up between Tadarius Hughes and the Miami Hurricanes. That staff really loves him, a long, rangy safety that can make a lot of plays. That'll be playing for, a local program Miami has a lot of ties to. And he's a South Florida guy, grew up rooting for the Canes. His family loves Miami. Had the chance to talk to his dad a little bit, too, about that, too. definitely a lot of interest, and he's still weighing his options. But Miami's definitely a school he's considering as well.
All right. So what does the rest of the spring look like for Miami recruiting? Is there any big visit weekends targeted? What do you think it's going to look like?
Yeah, so throughout the next few weeks of spring, obviously Miami has the next week off, but after that, they're going to be ramping it up. Guys like Jackson Cantwell, Derek Cooper, and a lot of Miami's big-time targets will be down here at Coral Gables, and then for their spring game in the middle of March, it's going to be an absolutely big weekend for the Canes. But like you mentioned a little bit earlier, so just getting guys down on campus, kind of building that relationship, which leads to official visits, is kind of the biggest part of the spring, and I think Miami's going to be able to get a lot of big-time guys in sunny Coral Gables like we see right now.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this. Put him back in the one. I mean, this is crazy. All this blue sky. I'm sitting here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's 39 degrees. It's windy. It's rainy. Why would you not want to go visit Coral Gables right now? All right, Azumi Charles with Cane Sport. Thanks for coming on, making us all jealous. It's looking like midsummer over there, but we'll be in touch. A lot of big name visitors coming through.
So thank you guys.
Let's talk some Ohio State football. We're going to continue to take a look at this roster because Ryan Day has done a phenomenal job recruiting talent to Columbus. And in this video, we're going to talk about a former 5-star recruit that's ready to break out this season. Also, a former 3-star recruit that could outplay his ranking this season for the Buckeyes. But before we get going, guys, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruit channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. All right. I got On3 National Scout Cody Belair here to break it all down with me. So, Cody, let's start with Ohio State. We got a former 5-star who you think is going to break out this season. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because, Josh, this is no surprise to anyone, but Ohio State does a pretty damn good job of signing 5-stars. So I think we ultimately, though, had to go with the most important position on the field, and that's the quarterback position. So former 5-star Julian Sayin, who I believe is ultimately going to win the starting job in Columbus, and we're going to be able to see the California kids spin it out there in the shoe. And I think the things we're going to see on Saturdays is a lot of the same that we were able to see from him on Friday nights, because this is a guy that was the definition of composed. I mean, you saw it with his demeanor under the bright lights of the Elite 11. You saw it during some of the biggest games of his high school career. Julian Sayin is as cool as the other side of the pillow, and he is a pure distributor of the football. He is such a quick release and is able to scan the field efficiently in order to get the ball out on time and in rhythm, but he also has the arm strength to push the ball vertically for a guy like Jeremiah Smith to go and run under it downfield. So I believe that the former 5-star is going to look a lot like the baller we saw coming out of high school when he steps between the white lines as the starter for the Scarlet and Gray.
And who could forget that recruitment? Julian Sayin from California was recruited by Alabama. He committed to Alabama. He signed with Alabama. He practiced with Alabama. He put the uniform on. He had the helmet on and everything. Then Nick Saban retired. He asked out of that letter of intent. He was released. He transfers to Ohio State. Now he's going to get that shot to start. I can't wait to see what Julian Sayin does this season. The next part of this video, want to talk about a 3-star that's going to outplay his ranking for Ohio State, but I realize we're doing Ohio State. Do they even have any 3-stars on the roster?
Yeah, Josh, it's funny you say that because you kind of comb through and you say, man, I don't know how many 3-stars they really sign out of high school, but the beauty of the modern college football world is this thing called the transfer portal. I think people are using it these days, and I think Ohio State fans need to know that they acquired a killer pass catching option for this offense, and that's Purdue tight end transfer Max Clare. This is a guy that played his high school ball in Ohio at St. Xavier High School in Cincinnati and was a 3-sport athlete there, playing baseball, football, and basketball. And when he arrived at Purdue, he was sniffing 6'4", 225 pounds. And during his redshirt year, he put on 20 pounds and he was ready to break out as a redshirt freshman in 2023. But he sustained a season-ending ankle injury after making 4 starts in 2024. So he came back and put together a very strong season, collecting 51 catches for 685 yards and 4 touchdowns, and was a fixture for that Purdue offense last year. But what does he bring to Ohio State? And I would say insurance or a safety net, if you will, because this is someone that can literally do everything in the passing game. He can play attached as an inline Y. He can play H. He can line up in the slot. He can split out wide. He has the wiggle to win against man, and he has the IQ and discipline to sit and find the soft zone the soft spot in zone coverage. And he can even win in the screen game, Josh. I mean, all of these things allow for Julian Sayin or whoever ends up winning the starting quarterback job an immediate go-to target to get them out of trouble, and it allows them to play more free, knowing they have a dependable option in the underneath and intermediate levels of the field.
Yep, that's what the transfer portal is all about, kind of gives a prospect like that a second life, and he's going to play a really important role for Ohio State. Buckeye fans, you talk to us. What do you think? Who will be the former 5-star that breaks out? Do you think there's another 3-star on the roster that's going to have a great season? Let us know. Comment section below.